Over 2 years, I have tried over 50 custom keyboards, and here's what I have learned. If you are someone trying to join the hobby or someone who is already in the hobby, we all have that one constant question. What keyboard should I buy, or what keyboard is next for me? Well, today I'm basically gonna run through what I think of the hobby as of now after being in the hobby for about 2 years. I'm gonna talk about different recommendations for keyboards and switches. Let's start from the top, or should I say the beginning. If you're looking for your first custom keyboard or looking into building one for yourself, you should first answer these 4 simple questions. Number 1, what is your favorite layout? Number 2, do you intend to build it or buy it? Number 3, what is your budget? And lastly, do you have any specific requirements about the board you want to build or buy? So the best way to start your search is with your layout. Are you into 65%, 75%? Are you looking for something with function row, something with arrow keys? If you're looking for something with a numpad, you need to know all the different layouts, basically research into which keyboard that you are about to use in your daily life. Once you figure that out, it is a lot simpler for you to narrow down the boards to a select few of which you can start with. Next up is, do you want to build it or do you want to buy it? There are a ton of assembled custom keyboards nowadays by Echo, Keychron, Wuche Studio, the Zoom 65 assembled versions. There are a whole ton of assembled boards out there basically, and this is where you think about, do you want to build it by yourself? That means you install the switches, build the keyboard kit, install the keycaps, or do you just want to buy the keyboard kit straight up and basically upgrade it and mod it along the way? Think about it. My personal recommendation if you're looking to get into this hobby is you should build it. This way you get to know the parts of the board, you'll know your keyboard inside out. If you ever run into any issues while using the board, or if you plan to upgrade the board, you already know your board inside out. So you wouldn't have any problems, you wouldn't be scared of opening your board. You wouldn't feel afraid to take it apart, figure out the problem and upgrade it, or so forth. There isn't much excuse to not build your own custom keyboard. There are so many tutorials out there on YouTube, not only by myself, by so many other keyboard YouTubers out there. They basically teach the basics and go through the tutorials of all the different boards out there, of every single layout. I'm certain you can find one. The third question is one of the most important questions. What is your budget? Although I am the budget keyboard guy and there are tons of keyboard kits that are way below $100, I would still recommend a budget of $200 or so for your first custom keyboard. Just think about it. Your Razer, Logitech, HyperX keyboards out there that you probably are using right now, or maybe you're using a Ducky keyboard, they are at least above $150. Am I right or wrong? Razer keyboards nowadays are going for more than $200 Sing dollars. So why not take that money that you were going to invest into a gaming keyboard and put that money into a custom keyboard in which you can upgrade, mod, and have so much freedom in making choices when you are building it. I would say the minimum budget you would want to put into this hobby as a starter is probably around $80. $100 is probably the safer option here. Before I go through some quick recommendations for your first time board, the last question is always about personal preference. Do you want to get into the hobby because a certain board caught your eye? Maybe you saw a certain board that interests you, you heard a certain sound that sounds really good to you. You saw a wooden case that looks really aesthetically pleasing. You saw a certain keycap set that looks really sick and you thought would match your setup. So with all these preferences, I would suggest you write down a list of what you're looking for along with all the other questions that you have answered. Alright, so here are some recommendations for your first custom keyboard that are pretty beginner friendly. First of all is the Keychron V series, a budget keyboard series started by Keychron. The price ranges from $60 to $90 and they are available in most layouts that are common nowadays, and they also provide assembled and unassembled versions. Next up is the Echo 3068B, a budget board by Echo that is really popular among beginners. I personally haven't reviewed it, but I have watched tons of reviews and tried some of them on a store somewhere nearby. Although this one is limited in layouts compared to the Keychron, the sound profile sounds quite different compared to Keychron, and my personal preference is Echo over Keychron, so yeah. As for switches, I highly encourage trying out some new switches, basically not your Gateron blues, reds, clears, yellows, that kind of stuff. I would recommend you try out some new switches. Echo is a great starting point. They have really cheap budget switches that are extremely worth it. A box of 45 pieces costs about $10. We have KTT switches that are also extremely popular and extremely worth buying. As for keycaps, just get what you like. There is no certain aspect of it that you should look into for keycaps. If you like it, you should buy it. Prices definitely can range from $30 to $120. This really depends on the third question, what is your budget? The difference in price is also the difference in quality. The quality of how the printing of the alphas are, the material being used for the keycap. But all these are really minuscule details that you can ignore. In my opinion, you can transfer keycaps anytime you want from a keyboard to your old keyboard to your new keyboard. So I might as well invest a little more into a keycap set that is good. Next up is for the people who already own their custom keyboard and looking to buy their next one. I would estimate you would have about 1 to 3 custom keyboards if you're in this category. You probably have a beginner board, probably like a CIY Gas 67 or a GK61, some kind of Echo board maybe. You probably have an aluminum keyboard, maybe a Tofu 60, some sort of Keychron Q1 maybe a Echo Mod 007 as well. Your third board is probably one of the budget group by kings, probably a QK65, a Zoom 65 or maybe Jerry 65. So what's next for you? I would actually just go right for it. I would straight away just go to the high-end keyboards. Resist the urge to buy your next budget custom keyboard and save up that money, save up like $500 and invest it into a premium custom keyboard. Go for the high tier boards, the one that are running on like 300 units group buy, the ones that are designed by a specific person that you find on GeekHack. The high tier boards are something you would experience physically and not something I can describe to you of how the difference is verbally. It's really not something that I can just explain like why this sounds better and how this all works, you know? And that is why keyboard meetups are an important aspect in this hobby. People get to try out the different premium boards they haven't experienced before, boards that haven't been released, or boards they have missed out. So all these can be experienced in real life and not watched on a video or talked about verbally. The overall design, sound profile and quality is basically a whole new world for you to explore. Designs that you would never ever find in a board below like $150 or $200. When it comes to the high-end boards, it's all about the attention to detail. Every single thing in that keyboard is thought of by that artist. Every single thing is designed for an aesthetic purpose or acoustic purpose. The building and unboxing experience is completely different from what you would get from a local like Echo or Keychron store. I truly believe you can ask any other custom keyboard YouTubers out there and they would agree with my point. So save up some money, try out something new. If you're free and you're looking to spend some money, go on GeekHack, go run through the group buys or Reddit Mac Market, look out for the new group buys or upcoming group buys and see what piques your interest. The next topic is the final topic, but this is more about my preferences to the whole hobby and how I would advise you to go about entering this hobby. There are two main things that you are always looking out for in your keyboard that you're gonna game with, you're gonna type on, you're gonna work with. Acoustics and visual aesthetics. The main acoustic of the board is not solely from switches. The exact same switch can sound very different on a different keyboard kit. I can put a same switch on 2 different keyboard kits and they would sound completely different. The main point I'm trying to deliver is that there isn't that one switch out there that you can put into your keyboard to make it really talky or really creamy. To achieve the acoustic you want is a combination of the parts that you are building with. I think that's basically what this hobby is about. It's about finding all the different combinations with the different switches, different keyboard kits to combine them together to achieve that different sound profiles or that certain sound profile that you are trying to get. I will not deny that each switch definitely have their own characteristics. A Gateron All King, for example, has a really creamy characteristic. You can't make a Gateron clear, talky. You can't make a Gateron blue, creamy. Like, those are the certain fixed characteristics in a switch that you cannot change. So, for example, you would want a creamy board, and I would recommend Gateron All King switches. They're a smooth linear and the main characteristic I would call is creamy. So if you have a certain acoustic in mind, you would want to find the switch that has that certain characteristic about it that would make it easier for you to achieve that sound profile. And the next part is also extremely important. You have to find a keyboard kit that is able to bring out that characteristic from that switch. If I install Gateron All Kings into a GK61, it will not be able to bring out that creamy characteristic to its full potential. You will not be able to fully hear and get that creamy sound profile. But if I invested a little bit more into my keyboard kit, which is a KBD67 Lite for example, and I installed my Gateron All Kings into that keyboard kit, the Gateron All Kings sound profile will be accentuated a little bit more and I will be able to bring out that characteristic from the Gateron All Kings. So So think about investing in your keyboard kit as a good base to bring out that characteristic from your switches. As for the high-end boards usually have characteristics on their own. So I would say GK61 has literally no characteristics, no values. It's like a one-dimensional thing. But if you're investing like $500 into a premium board, they have their own characteristics. Let's say he has a two-dimensional value in it. And if you install your Gateron All Kings, which is like 1 or 2 dimensional, and you combine it with another premium board, you basically get at least like a 4-dimensional value from the whole combination, and that is what achieves that premium keyboard feeling or sound. So yeah, this has been a rundown of what I have learned from 2 years in this hobby and trying out 50 over custom keyboards. If you found this content helpful, I would appreciate a like for the video. It helps me with the whole YouTube algorithm, and if you're interested in keyboard YouTube content, then you can subscribe, you know, it's free. And comment your thoughts on the way I explained the 4-dimensional thing. I'm not sure if I was able to deliver my point good or like better than how I would expect it to be. I figured that was a pretty good analogy of how premium boards work and how budget boards work. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.